Welcome back to Crux Stationalis, the Roman Station Church network. Today, on the Saturday after the second Sunday of Lent, we find ourselves at the Lenten Roman Station Church of Santi Marcellino e Pietro al Laterano, or Saints Marcellinus and Peter at the Lateran. Saints Marcellinus and Peter were a priest and an exorcist, respectively. A note about what this word exorcist means. Minor orders are historically ranks of church ministry. The church distinguishes between the major orders, priest, including the bishop, deacon and subdeacon, and four minor orders, acolyte, exorcist, lector, and porter, in descending order. These rituals, which confer sacramentals upon the tonsured seminarian and religious, are intended to prepare a man step by step to ascend towards the altar, bringing him with each ordination closer to the sacred mysteries of the altar. It is the means for the Church to slowly and thoroughly prepare a man for such the high dignity of standing in persona Christi at the altar, calling him with each step to greater perfection in his exterior and interior life, conforming him to Christ the High Priest. Saints Marcellinus and Peter were two Christian martyrs called to bear witness to the faith in Jesus Christ during the persecution of Diocletian around the year 304. Diocletian, emperor from the years 284 to 304, was convinced that Christianity was an obstacle to the work of reconstruction initiated in the various sectors of life of the Roman Empire. He adopted a series of repressive measures that struck Christian communities with violence, and thus martyrdom, like that of Saints Marcellinus and Peter. The first church was built on this site by Pope Siricius in the 4th century, close to the Via Labicana catacombs of Marcellinus and Peter. The church had an adjoining hospice, which became a center for pilgrims, and the church was restored by Pope Gregory III in the 8th century. It has been listed as one of the Lenten Roman Station Churches since the end of the 6th century. In the 9th century, the remains of Saints Marcellinus and Peter were transferred from the catacombs here to a church in Germany. When the church here was rebuilt in the year 1256 by Pope Alexander IV, the relics of the martyrs were returned. As is customary for the Roman Station Church itinerary, the relics of the church are brought out and placed on the high altar or various side altars to be given reverence by the faithful. The present church is the result of Pope Benedict XIV's reconstruction in 1751. The cube-shaped exterior is divided by pilaster strips in the neoclassical style, but with a Baroque element of the dome influenced by the architecture of Borromini. To the left of the sanctuary stands the Chapel of Reconciliation, the Chapel of the Crucifix. This altar, with the Madonna and Child, St. Joseph and St. Teresa of Jesus, gives testament to the presence of the Carmelites, who had care of the church until the year 1906. The church is presently a parochial church. Now I recount a story from when I studied in Rome for a semester in 2011. On October 15th, a tragic event occurred. This group, called the Black Bloc, made their way from Piazza della Repubblica and passed this very church. In the course of their protest, they destroyed a crucifix and this statue of Our Lady. In the neighborhood where I was living at the time, there were signs immediately put up calling for Romans to make reparation. The protest resulted in cars being set on fire and windows and storefronts smashed in, and the destruction you see, which resulted in even blasphemous vandalism. A result which can only come from disorder and the passions of man being unrestrained. To counter this Black Bloc, the response of reparation was known as the White Bloc. The Roman response, as we have seen throughout this Roman Station Church itinerary at St. Mary Major with Salus Populi Romani, the many mosaics we have seen, the Roman response is always to turn to Our Lady. Without her, without true devotion to her, we see the destruction that comes from living a life of following one's passions, moving from one worldly delight to the next, things that will all pass, vanities that will fade, delights that vanish as soon as they arise. And how much more do we have to make reparation? I give you one example of blasphemy from those who live with their heads turned down, consumed by worldly desires and preoccupations, a pity and sorrow in life without Our Lady, without our Lord. We Christians have this season of Lent, this day, tomorrow, to make steps of piety, especially in devotion to Our Lady. She never leads her children astray.